y dos, y dos, una, y dos, una, y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortes NYC Livestream, the podcast.
This show broadcasts out of New York City
We are your hosts, Cortes NYC,
and Carla de Puerto Rico.
and on this show we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist,
And I'm a singer.
and this is episode 69.
As always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and Spotify, and on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr.
And I just want to give a shout out to a few of our listeners, people contributing on the Instagram. We got K Dulce, AREVALO 10 to go, Merge Uno FRG, Cute Demetrio, Nassad 187, Colgray 777, Reader 1717, and a big shout out to Queens artist Miss Mars. She just put out a music album. You can find her on Instagram, trippin_on_Mars with a Z. Carla,
Yes.
we're back.
We are back
Art talk.
in the art talk.
We're gonna have
talking
a
the
nice-
arts.
A nice art talk right now.
Yeah, what are we gonna talk
I want to
about?
ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
What shape is your face?
What shape is my face?
The shape of your face, that's the subject.
I think my face is round. Is it round?
Yeah. It's bean shaped, I think.
Bean?
Bean.
Like a habichuela?
Yeah. I think
Bean shape. I'm gonna look that up.
I think your face would be bean shaped if I had to say. I mean, I would say yes round, but if I wanted to get a little more character to it, I would probably make it bean shaped.
I have a bean shaped face. Is that really what we're gonna talk about?
We're going to talk about specifically the shape of your face.
No.
No, we're gonna talk about. I want to talk about what is the shape of your face, meaning how to draw cartoons of faces, cartoon faces.
Oh, okay.
I've been sketching a little bit recently, and I enjoy drawing cartoon faces. It's a good way to kind of exercise and, I guess, exercise your personalities. I guess. I would say as an artist, when you draw cartoons, you tend to, especially if you take advantage of making exaggerated, cartoons and faces, you're kind of like an actor, and you're kind of like letting out these different personalities, especially if you draw very like crazy cartoons. Sometimes cartoon characters can be very expressive, so
Yeah.
it gives you an opportunity to express yourself without even having to make a sound, you know what I mean? Like you do it quietly in your sketchbook. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys a few basic things to look out for when, maybe to encourage you to draw characters if you don't draw cartoon faces.
Yeah.
But if you do already draw cartoon faces, then maybe things to think about if you're not doing these things, maybe information you should know. Number one, for drawing cartoon faces is the first question of this podcast. What shape is the face?
It's your face.
Yes. I think the two basic shapes that you should start with is you should learn how to sketch lightly and do either an oval or a circle. Those are the two basic ones. An oval, like an elongated circle, or just a regular circle. And that shape is everything. I mean, imagine if you have a ball of clay and you just make a little ball and you
Yeah.
put two eyeballs on it, like now you have a character.
That already said something.
Yeah. So you have the oval and you have the circle. Then if you want to get a little more specific, you can get into an egg shape or a bean shape. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Oh, okay.
For the oval. So you can take that oval, you could bend it a little bit just to give it a little more character, and you can give it a little more of an egg shape, so that maybe the top is heavier and the bottom is pointier, or the bottom is heavier and the top is pointier. Or you can make it bean shaped, which is like a slight little bend to it, and then maybe you can make it off balance. You can either make it bean shaped with the top being heavier and the bottom being a little bit smaller, or you could do the other way around. Now I'm gonna definitely put some of these sketches on Instagram so you guys can follow along, because I'm sure I'm gonna lose a lot of you.
Visuals are always good.
Yeah. But I think the bean shapes and the circles and the ovals and the egg shapes, that's the beginning, right? And I think that helps you to kind of first get an understanding of what's the mood that you're trying to do, like what kind of character, right? But then if you want to get more expressive, you can get even more abstract. You can start getting into squares, rectangles, and things like that. I like to do that a lot because I like to, when I sketch very like direct, like fast, sharp. I like to use a lot of sharp corners in my characters. They're not usually very smooth unless if I'm really purposely making something very cute and round. But for the most part, I make my characters kind of angular, sharp, and that's where I get into like my first sketch sometimes is a basic circle, and then I start extending like a rectangle and squares coming out of it to make like a jawline, to make the top of the head, to make like the brow of the face. That's where I usually get into like rectangles and shapes like that. The other thing to think about, let's say you started sketching and you got your little circle, you got your little box, whatever it is that you're doing, you got your little rectangle. The next thing that I usually think about is the eyes. So you got what shape is your head,
Right.
and then what shape is your face, right? And then what shape is your eyes. That's very important. That's the second, I think, probably the second most important thing on a character. Because you could probably get away with a cartoon character that is just a circle and two dots. That represents a head already.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to get into the mouth or anything else, or the nose or the ears to already know that's a face.
Yeah.
So the eyes are the next thing that I would do. And I know I'm contradicting maybe some of the things I've said before about drawing or sketching human people, like the human anatomy.
Right. But this is a cartoon, though.
This is a cartoon. A cartoon has its own rules. A cartoon is an abstract construction, something that it's a game that we play, right? I make a bunch of dots, and then you decide, does it look like a face or not?
Right.
We do it all the time. Today I had a meeting where we were discussing some graphics, and one of the characters was a silhouette of a football player. And for some reason, one of the people in the meeting thought that the silhouette of the football player, the angle that it was at, it looked like a face.
Oh.
Like the whole body resembled the face.
face,
And we just didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He kept saying that it looked like a face, it looked like a face, it looked like a face. And I was like, what? We were all like, what are you talking about? And then he pointed it out, and then we saw the face. And I think that's what happens, especially with silhouettes or abstract shapes like that. We're always looking for a face in something. And sometimes the faces are scary or morbid, like because it's an abstract shape, so it's like a creepy face. But we do see faces in everything. That's why we even put like, when we design, let's say, like the speakers in front of us, like, it has two circles and the circle in the middle, the two dots on the top. It looks like a face.
Yeah.
Cars have faces on them.
Yeah.
Computer kind of is a face. It's a big square face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your iPhone is a face.
Yep.
We always look for faces in everything. So
That's true.
I think that's the game that we play. And when you're doing these abstract shapes, these cartoons, you basically need the shape of the head, and then you need eyes. And the shape of the eyes. So the eyes, I would say, from me, my initial start for eyes are usually triangles. I tend to make triangles first. Yeah, I don't know why I make big old weird triangles. Squinty little triangles. That's what I always do. Then I can decide whether I want to round them out or not. Obviously, if you're making something cuter, you're gonna make big round eyes. If you're gonna make something cute, could also be small little round eyes. I've seen those kind of characters come into fashion now.
Yeah.
But once you have either the round shapes or the triangles, then you can start to shape it. So if I have a rectangle, I can start to chisel at the corners of the rectangles to kind of give it a little more personality. Once you have your eye sockets and your eye shapes in place, and you kind of understand where you're putting your eyes, then the next thing is, what direction is the eyes looking at? That's like a big thing. It's like, I don't know why, but we need to do that all the time. Like, so you draw this.
Looking at me.
Yeah.
You look into the sky.
Exactly. And that informs the attitude of the face.
Yeah. It gives more personality to the cartoon.
Exactly. Right away. Immediately, the minute that you put the little shapes that are supposed to be the eyes and you put a little dot inside of it pointing in a certain direction, that's it. Now it's alive. It's saying something.
Yeah.
After that, then I would say the mouth is the next most important thing. And the mouth could be very big circle, big rectangle usually or circle, or it could just be a little slit if you just want to make it seem like, you know, the person's just silent, you know,
Right.
and smirking. Or a lot of my characters tend to like look to the side and smirk. I do a lot of like dirty looks.
Shady.
Yeah, dirty looks, shady, evil eye kind of characters. I tend to do that a lot. I don't know. That's just me. I think that's the kind of people I see in the train. Like when I'm looking, maybe I just see a lot of people like that all over New York, and that's just a cartoon that I always want to sketch.
Yeah.
But I'll post some of these characters, and I'll post you some other characters as well, because I think when I specifically sit down to draw characters, when I push myself to go out of my regular zone and start getting into weird shapes and unusual shapes, I actually come up with some different personalities, different characters.
Yeah.
And sometimes they look very weird, sometimes they look funny.
Yeah.
And they can be fun. And I think that's the fun of drawing cartoon characters, is the personalities. Speaking of personalities,
Yeah.
cartoons aren't always meant to be funny or fun. So then that's where I think the expressive nature of it comes in. If you want to make characters, if you can pull off making a cartoon character that has a more complicated expression, then you're achieving something a little closer to what we consider art, like
Right.
art with a capital A.
Right.
You know, because cartoons are cartoons, and fine art is nothing but cartoons. I mean, if you look at some of the modern art galleries, the kind of figure drawings and abstract characters that they have, a lot of the times they have cartoons in there. But the thing that makes those cartoons separate from, let's say, comics or animation, is that they have more complex
Right.
emotion or expression.
Right.
Either they're completely still and dead,
Yeah.
or if they have personality, maybe they're just there.
Yeah.
They're not trying to entertain you. You know, like when I think of cartoons, I think of entertainment, animation. You know,
That's
I
what I
think
think of too.
yeah, they're
Or newspapers, you know.
yeah, they're meant to immediately entertain you and tell you a story and make you laugh or make you whatever it is. But the thing that makes it different is when you make it a little more complex. And I think that's what you should strive for, even if you are making entertainment comics. You know, comics and entertainment, you should still strive to make it a little more complex. I think that gives it more personality.
Yeah.
The next thing that I would say, kind of running through this, the next thing I would say is a profile. Profile is always fun, right? And a profile, very easy, could be the same kind of shapes, except that instead of showing two eyes in the front, you're going to just show one eye, right? And that put it on the left or the right, and that gives you a profile. The profiles actually, if you look around at a lot of graffiti artists, they tend to do a lot of profiles. I don't know where this came from. I don't know why we started doing this, but we all do it.
Ponle el profile.
Yeah, a cool looking side of the head is always catchy. Also, very typical in b-boy characters or graffiti characters is to have like very angular heads. Like the heads tend to be angular. You want to show a nice top of the head, a little more towards the back, like slanted to the back, and then the mouth and the nose and all that a little more skewed towards the front, so that you get a little more angle, a little more movement, a little more slickness to the head. That's something that we tend to do. I don't know why we all do it, but we tend to do it.
Where that came from?
Yeah,
We don't know.
but it came from somewhere. The next thing is haircuts, hats, things like that. I think that gives a lot of personality. B-boy characters all have hats. It's a hoodie, a hat, but hairstyles are really cool too. And if you really want to give your character personality, think about some funky hairstyles and exaggerate it. Really push it. I think that's what makes the character look fun or look interesting, is when the character has a lot of attention to the detail of like the hat, the hair. You know, you really give it attention. I mean, if you just do some scribbly lines and say that's hair, that's not really going to make it. You know? But if you really look online and try to find some reference on different haircuts from celebrities or whatever, then you're going to get something interesting, and it's going to make it feel more real.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not getting into like the race of the character, the genders of the character, because that's really totally arbitrary. It's like whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm just kind of saying more like the shapes and stuff to kind of give the character personality and flair.
How important are the eyebrows?
Very
for a
important.
character?
Very important. I think once you do your eyes, the eyebrows are there. I mean, honestly, I always just, for me, the eyebrows are an afterthought.
Yeah.
But I can see like big old bushy eyebrows being funny.
Right.
Or being like something, to
Or
show like.
pointy, those type of eyebrows that are kind of like a V, reverse V.
Right.
And they're like kind of angry or
Yeah.
give you more attitude.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I do my eyebrows, I tend to just kind of like sharp, and then they flare at the corner.
Okay.
They're kind of straight lines. I tend to make people with straight. Sometimes I even forget the eyebrows actually. But
it's because on our regular faces we don't think about it, but actually eyebrows are very important for our profile and in the structure of the face.
That's true, Cara.
And
You're bringing your A game today, huh?
Yeah, of course. And I'll think that maybe for a cartoon might be different, but still can bring some more personality to the character.
That is true. So another thing that I'll talk about in drawing cartoons and faces and stuff like that. Now let's talk about like after you've sketched it and you have your sketch down.
Yeah.
And you are ready to kind of make it a little more like a real cartoon. You want to ink it.
Official.
Yeah. You want to ink it. I think one of my tips for the cartoonists out there is if you're gonna ink your character, think. Grab like a thick marker, like a Sharpie, or even a thick marker like a Pentel, like a sign pen, something like that. Something that's a little thicker, not so fine, right? Not a huge thick marker, but just a bold marker. And try to outline your character with that, and practice outlining your cartoon characters with that. Because if you start outlining your characters with a bold line, you're really going to get an abstract shape. You're really not going to worry about details.
Yeah.
And you're going to really focus on the shapes that matter. And you're going to get those lines that matter. And then you can use finer lines to kind of give a little more detail, accent it with like if the hair needs little shading or has like little like stubble or whatever it is, eyelashes on the eyes or something, whatever it might be that you're trying to do, you can do that with the fine point. But I think something that we all kind of tend to forget is to use bold lines when you're doing cartoons, because bold lines will actually give you the basic shapes. It'll force you to create only basic shapes to tell your story. And I think it helps as practice. And then later on, if you want to move into finer lines and whatever, if you want to make it a little more realistic, a little more detailed, it's never going to be realistic. It's never going to be a photograph. It's always a cartoon. But if you want to give it a little more of a realism, then you can use fine lines. But I do think bold lines help. So do your cartoon characters. If you're practicing cartoon characters, do them with Sharpies or with bold markers like that, because that usually is a good training ground. Another thing that I would say is when you're coloring cartoons, avoid colors that are too dark. Even if you're intending to represent something dark, like let's say if the guy's wearing a black hoodie, maybe go charcoal instead of black.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's just something that tends to make, like, you want your cartoon character to be bright. You want him to be like fun and exciting. Like that's what you intend for cartoon characters, especially if you have a big bold black line as an outline.
Yeah.
So try to avoid too much like black ink or coloring inside of it, or dark colors like very, very dark green, very, very dark brown, because it's going to get lost and it's going to make your character kind of muddy.
Yeah.
So always go right up to the line, as dark as you can go. Let's say like 20% lighter, 10% lighter than black. That way your outlines stand out and they're still bold and strong, and then your fill-ins are nice and punchy and vibrant and they have color in it. What else can I give? What other advice can I give? Well, when you're doing the whole figure, I mean, I don't want to get into too much here in one little podcast, one little sitting, but if you're gonna do a figure, make sure that the amount of energy and expression that the face has is also reflected in the figure. And maybe I'll do that on the next episode. Maybe I'll talk about drawing figures. But the human body as a cartoon, you know, I know that a lot of people will think about action or movement in figures like superheroes, like an action pose. But that's not really what you have to do in order to draw a character. If you're drawing a character and you want to give it movement, you can give it movement just by having the clothes, the folds in the clothes, and the way that the clothing drapes on the figure can give personality to a character, even if the character is standing still. Right. So even if if you're sketching a cartoon character of somebody in the subway, and you're like, okay, so my cartoon character's on a subway and he's hanging on to the pole at the subway. Well, he's standing still, but his clothing and his body gesture can be very animated. The way that he holds the pole, like the angles of his fingers, the way that his hand is and his wrist is holding the pole, the angle, if he's like leaning a little bit to the left, or he's hanging on to his book bag and the book bag is kind of slouching on his shoulder.
Right.
All these little details can give the character a lot of motion and movement, even if he's not moving. And that's something that is very exciting about cartoons and what makes cartoon characters fun. I think that's what I try to do whenever I've done, like, let's say my b-boy characters or my graffiti characters in the past.
Yeah.
You know, I never really did, let's say, superhero characters like that. But whenever I did b-boy characters, I would always I tended to do this like mode of like a regular person on the street that's just kind of giving you a side look, is not really talking to you or anything. They're just kind of staring at you. But their clothing and their attitude is where I kind of got expressive, and I would show like an animation. You know, if they had like a chain, or if they had headphones on, I would make the headphones look bulky and big, but animated and kind of wrapped around their head and like it's part of their body.
Right.
You know, and I think that's what makes a character more animated, even if they're just standing still or sitting down or whatever. So I think when you're doing the body, think about that. In another episode, I'll probably go into like actually sketching bodies, and we'll see how this goes as far as posting it and people's reactions to this one. But I think that's a tutorial in itself. For this one, I would just say practice faces, have fun drawing cartoon faces. I enjoy doing it a lot. It's something that when I'm bored, I love doing it. Emojis are popular because people like faces, right?
Yeah.
That's
now
why
it's a good way to start a conversation.
Right.
Do some characters and some weird faces.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, think about it like that. I mean, when we were, not so long ago, we didn't have emojis. Now, when we communicate, we only communicate with emojis.
Yeah.
Because we like faces. We like expressive faces. It just conveys more information.
Yeah.
All right, guys, keep drawing, keep practicing, and keep making faces.
Yeah.
And expressing yourself.
Share with us.
Yeah, don't forget Cortesnyc Livestream on Instagram. I'll be posting some images.
Está haciendo todo igual, no tiene ningún color el paso que hace. Separa menos tiempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Culture talk.
Yes, culture talk.
Carla, what do you have for us for this culture talk? I need to know culture.
Well, we are going to be reviewing a movie.
Yes.
Where J-Lo is the star. It's a new movie and it's called Second Act.
Why do you do this to me?
Because we have to. She's trying to represent, not really, but she's trying to represent a Latina, and she's Latina, and I think now she's even more popular than ever before. So we have to talk about her.
All right, so the movie's called
Second Act.
Second Act.
And a little bit of the plot of IMDb.
Okay.
It says this is all it says. It says a big box store worker reinvents herself and her life story and shows Madison Avenue what street smarts can do. That's all it says.
Okay.
Obviously, the movie is more than that. It's kind of like a soap opera. but we can go into that. And in the movie, J-Lo's character, her name is Maya, and she is a retail worker, and she has been working there forever, but like more than 10 years or so. So in the movie, she's like in her 40s or 50s, 40s, right? Like in her 40s.
Yeah.
And she is really striving for more. Like, she wants to be a manager, but she has the experience, but she doesn't have the degree that says that she's capable of being a manager.
I think in this movie they made it a huge
thing,
exaggerated thing of like, if you don't have a degree, your life is over.
It doesn't matter if you have the experience.
Yeah, and
which is not.
I don't know if that's
how it happened.
Yeah, I don't think that's 100% right.
No.
Well, okay, we'll get into that, but it could be real if you're working at a Kmart, you don't have a degree in something, and now you want to go work in a big ad agency. Yeah, you might need something to get your foot in the door. Yeah.
But if you're working in Kmart and you just want to grow within the company, I think you'll have an opportunity.
Yes.
But with her, obviously she's trying to move up, and she wants to do something outside retail, but she doesn't have the studies. And then so how it happened that she gets this opportunity is because the best friend's son creates a whole new profile and
an online profile on Facebook or something, right?
On LinkedIn.
Everywhere.
He creates a new Facebook, new LinkedIn, new identity for her, where he is putting her as the one that graduated from Harvard, that traveled the world, met Obama, that climbed the Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of bullshit.
He created, I think it was supposed to be like as a joke or as a gift to her. He did that where he created this whole other personality for her, but didn't tell her. That was the weird part of the plot.
That was the weird part.
Like, so why did he do that and not even tell her anything?
Yeah, he created that. He didn't tell her, and she gets a call from a big company to go for an interview. She's like, oh my God, they call me. When she goes in, the manager or the director starts interviewing her, and he starts to review her resume, and he was like, oh yeah, it's amazing that you have climbed the Kilimanjaro and that you went to Harvard. And she was like, excuse me, what? And then after that, she goes with the flow. But then she discovers that it was her son's best friend, and long story short, she gets the job at the big company. And then once she gets the job at the big company, everything changes. She gets a new apartment. She was living in Queens before, and she had a boyfriend of many years, which actually is the same guy from This Is Us, Milo.
Right. Okay. We know who he is. The Jack.
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 The perfect husband, perfect boyfriend.
He's typecast as the best guy, the good guy.
Yeah, the good guy.
Best husband.
So, yeah. So he's her boyfriend. They're together, but something happened and they break up. So now she has this new job, everything changes, she has a new apartment that is huge, and all of a sudden her outfits also change, and the way she expresses herself, and the way she dresses, and the way she does her makeup.
Right, she suddenly has a huge makeover where she becomes a whole new character.
The way she fixed her hair as well.
Yeah, that was a little drastic.
Yeah, I was like, how are you gonna change all of a sudden? You haven't even got your first paycheck, and they already gave you credit cards.
So I guess up to this point, the movie is portraying her as a person who's working like in some big chain store, let's say a Target. She's working at a Target, and she's like not getting anywhere in the company as far as getting promotions or anything like that. They're keeping her down, and she's like too smart for that, and she's like too more ambitious for that. And she's got a boyfriend, but she can't commit to her boyfriend. They're presenting her character as non-committal, but hard worker, like an overworker, but non-committal in personal relationships. And I don't remember if they hinted at her having an adopted daughter right away, or not a daughter that she gave away for
that
adoption.
she gave away from. Yeah.
I don't know if they said it right up front, but eventually we find out that she also has this like dark secret where she had given away her daughter for adoption.
And this is the weirdest part of the movie. I think the weirdest part.
All
of the
spoilers
plot.
across the board for this movie because
Yeah.
we're spoiling the whole thing. So if you even had an interest in this movie, what's the name of the title? Second Act?
Second act.
Then we're ruining it for you because we're going to go right through everything.
Yeah,
but,
and we have to talk about it because it's just, it made no sense.
but anyway, yeah, so they're portraying her as this very complex soap opera character
Yeah.
in a rom-com, I guess. Is this a rom-com?
I don't think it's a rom-com.
I couldn't get the vibe. I
I
thought it was
think
going
it's
to
a
be
rom-com for yourself or for family. You know how rom-coms are supposed to be for like a couple? So instead of being for the couple, it's more like for girl power or for like mother-daughter relationship
I guess.
kind, because at the end, and the whole thing was about empowerment and how they both were strong women. But I don't know.
I don't know. The movie had the tone of a rom-com.
It had the tone.
I was even thinking that she was gonna fall in love with somebody at the new job.
Yeah,
And that was gonna be the rom-com, is that she meets somebody at the job, or that she meets the person at the job that makes her rethink her relationship back at home with the boyfriend. But quickly the boyfriend becomes irrelevant, and it's all about her trying to get this new position, keeping up with the charade that, the lie that, oh yeah, that's me. I'm the person with the degree and all that stuff. And so thank you for the job offer. Out of nowhere, they're gonna give her a straight up job offer, and she's gonna immediately get to work there. But later on, we discover that
everything was a made up thing by the adopted
daughter, and the owner of the company played along, who's the father,
because it was the adopted father
of her daughter. The movie got complicated fast.
Well, I'm just gonna say that I wrote in my notes when we were watching it, 15 minutes into the movie, and we already knew what was going to happen, unless proven wrong, and we were proven wrong, because it got into a plot of a telenovela.
Yeah.
All of the sudden, the daughter knew. No, I don't know how it happened, but she discovered that the girl that works in the company, that is the vice president of the company, is her daughter. And she tells her, oh no, this is what happened. Okay. The way...
I'm already lost.
Oh, no. Okay, so she tells her... You see, is that there were the thing about this movie is that there were too many revelations.
Yes.
So one of the revelations was
all right,
that...
So let's organize it for the listener so we don't lose the focus.
Okay.
Let's just lay out the facts, and then we'll backtrack and talk about details. So the facts are, she gets an opportunity to get a job in the dream job in some perfume company?
It was like a beauty company.
It's like a beauty company, whatever, cosmetics. She gets this job. She gets a high-paid executive position in this job.
Yeah.
That the company's owned by the adoptive father of her daughter, of her biological daughter that she had given away.
Yeah.
When it was a baby. And
at this point, she didn't know that this girl was her daughter.
Okay, but hold on. But let's just run through the whole movie in a straight line so we can get the basic gist out. She gets this job working with her daughter.
Yeah.
Her biological daughter, who they don't know that either each other is whatever.
Yeah.
But the father
knows
and played along, giving her the job.
Yeah.
And then they get to everybody finds out everything, and then at the end, the conclusion is that when she reveals, oh, yes, I'm the mother and you're the daughter, and then it's all weird because she was lying, the mother was lying, J-Lo was lying about hiding her past from the daughter, not confessing that, hey, I'm really from Queens and I don't have a degree and all that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
To keep her job or whatever.
Yeah.
So at the end, when she does all that, then they have a falling out, and she loses the job or whatever. She leaves the job, makes a whole big stink. She ends up working at J-Lo ends up working at some startup company. She ends up starting her own company, and then she reconciles with the daughter, the long lost daughter again.
Yeah.
And they decide
and this
to
time
give it
is forever together.
Yeah. So
and that's it.
I guess that is the straight line story, is the story of a woman who gave away her daughter for adoption and then finds her again.
Yeah.
And then tries to connect with her, even though her daughter is living the life that she always wished she could have lived or she could have had for her daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they reconcile, I guess. That's the gist of...
That should be the main point. And that should have been the plot altogether. But what happened is that she tells her that she's the mother, but she is still under that lie of that double identity, the second identity, where she went to Harvard, where she knows so many important people. So the daughter still believes that she is kind of important in a way. And what upset me the most about the movie is that then J-Lo had so many opportunities to tell her privately, hey, you know what? This is not the real me. The real me, I started working in retail and then I had an opportunity to be in this company, but I didn't went to Harvard. I didn't do all these things, and this is really what happened. Instead of J-Lo telling her privately, the way that J-Lo decides to tell her is on the final big presentation.
Of course.
For the company. She is going to introduce the new product that she helped create, and it's a whole venue full of people, and she say, you know what, I'm not really the person that is supposed to be here because I'm a retail worker.
That's a great J-Lo
because
impression.
And I was like, seriously, you couldn't tell her, in a private space, just you and her, tell her the truth, have to say it in front of everyone in this
crowd,
in this venue.
The thing, all right, so...
And then after that is when they actually have the fallout, and then they reconnect. Because they didn't really had a fallout when she said she was the mother. It was more because of the lie, which was stupid because...
All right, so I think the review of this movie is that we both think it was bad.
Yeah.
I tuned out like halfway through it, but I just kept kind of peeking to see if it changed up or not. But I did started tuning out halfway through it. I think it had too many convoluted little plot elements.
Yeah, too many.
But halfway through, I didn't really care about the whole plot line about her getting this job. This dream job.
Yeah.
Usually when they do the thing where somebody manages to land a dream job and it's like they manage to lie their way into a powerful position and whatever.
Yeah.
They usually make it seem like the person really deserves it.
Yeah, they start working, like you see the process of them working.
And here at the end of the day, by halfway through the movie, I didn't care about the product she was making. I didn't care about how she is holding on to this position or proving herself, her worth, let's say, in the market, because it just seemed all fake. It seemed so like staged. And then when they showed us that, when they revealed that it is staged, that it was all not just haha, you were tricking them, but the trick's on you. Basically, they did that. They did a double haha, like no, J-Lo, the trick's not. You're not tricking us. We also tricked you because I knew that you were the mother of the daughter.
Time.
Yeah, like that. Once he did all that, I was like, I could care less about any of this.
Yeah.
And then I would just say, I did really think it was gonna be a rom-com. Or at the minimum, I thought it was gonna be a working girl comedy.
Right.
Like her wacky adventures, trying to convince everybody that she's this high-powered, cosmetics, guru or whatever. Like I was like, oh, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be J-Lo, social media, maybe her kind of like showing like the modern face of like the real cosmetics world, and kind of like The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like that. I thought it was gonna be like J-Lo in The Devil Wears Prada.
The underdog becoming the executive, the director.
That's what I thought it was gonna be like, and I thought it was gonna have like a solid like foundation of that alone.
Yeah.
But because they
No.
took a whole, at the end of the day,
I
you
had-
could care less about her job or any of that. Like,
Yeah, I had on my note that it wasn't realistic. That when we were to that point where she got the job, it was like no, not even someone with a college degree gets that opportunity
Yeah.
so easy.
yeah, exactly.
With just one interview, and here you go, apartment, credit card, and
Yeah, they
you're
give her
in.
everything. Yeah.
and
All right, give
then
us your notes. Go ahead.
Also, another thing that I was going to say is that she's not portraying a Latina woman or lady trying to make it in New York. It's more like she could be anybody. She could
Yeah.
be white, she could be black, she could be Asian, because there was nothing about her character that said or screamed Latina. Just the little accent that she would put.
or
every
the,
once
or
in
that
a
she,
while.
yeah, or that she had the or
Or
the
working class.
or the Latin experience or the working class experience. Yeah, it was weird. Like for somebody, she was portraying somebody that, let's say, worked. I'm gonna keep using Target as an example because I don't
Yeah.
know what she was supposed to be working at.
It was something like that.
They made it seem like it was like a Walmart or Kmart.
Yeah.
There's no Walmart or Kmart. I don't know what the hell she was
Target.
working at. Yeah, that's why I'm like, you're in Queens and it's a Walmart Kmart. What are you talking
And
about?
you take the subway to get there, it
Yeah.
has to be a Target.
It's yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. That it was just unrealistic.
Yeah.
But whatever. So she's working at this place, and I didn't get the experience of a Latina working in that kind of place and what it would take for a Latin character to not just push themselves out of their that company and out of that
Comfort zone.
yeah, but to go further into like, I'm going into Manhattan, I'm fitting in with different people. Some of the language barrier, some of that, like they just
Yeah.
made it like cute that she had an accent. They were like, oh, it's so cute, it's so quaint
And-
that
and-
she's got an accent, and then she dropped the accent right away the minute she got the job.
Yeah. And she was just so comfortable with everybody. I mean, there were certain parts where you can see, well, yeah, it was a little challenging, but for the most part, it was like she was so comfortable with everybody
Yeah.
in the new company.
What other notes you got?
Well, another thing is that the image of New York also, it wasn't that they really showed local New York. They
Right.
just showed like key points, the
Yeah.
subway, Flatiron, something very general.
Yeah,
So they didn't really show also
a New York experience. Yeah,
New York experience. And that's it. The movie was entertaining, but it wasn't what I was expecting, which was definitely a rom-com or definitely like an empowered Latina story. But you know what? Go see it. Gotta support.
Wanted me to teach you, right? Street reality.
All right, hablando español, Carla. What do you got for me to hablar español?
Ya hablando español. So how do you say
Yes,
bean?
bean.
Yes.
3 other words came into my head that are not the word. You wanna hear
Yeah,
the
yeah,
words?
yeah.
Cebolla,
Okay.
lechuga.
Okay.
I don't know why my brain did that.
All vegetables. Okay. It's in the same family, I guess.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that I can see the word and go nope, and see the word and go nope, and see the word and go nope. That's not it either. That's when you really know like you're bilingual, but
Yeah.
you still know that you have to search
Yeah, with
through your dictionary in your
in
head.
your brain.
to
I
find the
know.
correct word, and that's why if you pause for a minute, it's because you're looking for the right word. So
Yeah.
all right, so you said bean.
Bean.
So I think it's because I'm playing between 2 words in my head, and I think now I'm at the right words. So one is frijole or frijol,
Yes.
but there's another one,
Yes.
right? That is more like a bean.
Yeah, that's the one I said.
Which one?
Habichuela.
That's the one I was looking for.
I said it at the beginning of the episode, but I said, you know what? Now we need to have the real place where we do Hablando Español.
All right, so habichuela.
Habichuela.
Habichuela
Yes.
is bean.
Of
Pero
frijoles. I think frijoles is a type of bean.
It's a red
and then
bean.
habichuela is like any
bean. Pero when you say one
A type.
frijol,
Un frijol.
un frijol. Okay, so it's un frijol or frijoles.
Of frijoles.
Frijoles. O un
Frijoles?
frijol. Y una habichuela.
Una habichuela. Yeah.
Is there another word?
For what? For bean?
You ever brain?
No, that I know of.
Okay.
Okay, next one is...
Thank you, Cara. Woo.
Oof, face.
Face. Cara.
Great.
Cara o rostro?
Yeah.
Can you say rostro?
Rostro.
What's rostro?
I know it has to have another word in English. But I think it's face. It's a type of face? No, it's not a type of face. There's not many type of faces. But rostro, I think it has to be
Because I think, like, I know
face too. Yeah, it's face.
yeah. Like rostro.
Face. There's other two words, but I really haven't used those words. So if you want to explain
Nah.
on those two words, what does it work better? Is face, right?
Face, cara.
Rostro.
Rostro. But why rostro? When do you say rostro? In what context? Have you ever used rostro?
No, but I've heard it when they use in advertisement for beauty beauty products.
Oh, like your
Limpia tu rostro con
right.
blah,
They don't
blah,
say limpia tu cara.
blah. No tu cara.
That's true.
So I think it's maybe for skincare
Rostro.
when they're trying to talk about skincare or something more delicate, like specifically the skin in your face. Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Okay, next one
Yes,
is
yes.
shape.
Shape. Shape can be figura.
No.
Shape of your body, la figura. Shape is forma.
Yes.
For-
Forma.
So if I tell you, what shape is that? How do you say that?
¿Qué forma es?
That sounds weird.
Bueno, I would say ¿qué figura es?
Now you're contradicting yourself.
I know,
Um,
but if you ask what shape is that, I'll say ¿qué figura es?
Like, so if I'm saying draw a shape of a face, I'm not gonna say dibuje la figura de la cara. That doesn't make sense. Dibuje la forma de la cara.
Dibuja la forma de la cara.
La forma. Okay, so forma.
But it can also be figura. So you're right.
I think
It
for-
depends.
I
It
think
depends
form.
on
Forma is better for shape.
on the type. When are you using shape? Okay, next one is oval.
Oval, oval.
¿Qué?
What's oval?
What did you say? Ovalo.
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 I never said ovalo. Thank you.
I don't know the words, but okay. We'll keep it for next episode.
All right. Wrapped up another episode, Carla. Thank you so much
That's
for that
right.
Spanish.
No, thank you.
I was going to ask you how do you say retail worker, but I know that's a hard one.
Asociado de tienda.
And I was going to ask you how to say strive.
Strive.
Strive. To strive for something.
Oh, I don't know really.
Luchar.
Yeah, puede ser luchar, trabajar
Luchar-
duro.
Luchar is like struggling.
Yeah, trabajar duro.
All right. See you guys
Well,
next episode.
See you next time.